Very empty Beaver Stadium here as Blue White Illustrated wraps up the blue-white game. I'm your host, Thomas Frank Carr, here on the YouTube channel. I have Nate Bauer, our senior editor, and Greg Pickel over here on my left. He is our reporter here on the day. We're talking and recapping blue-white game for 2022, the end of the spring season. So, Greg, what are your takeaways from today?
Well, I think the biggest one, T. Frank, is that it's important to remember that what you saw on Big Ten Network, if you were at home or if you were in the stadium here, it's one of 15 practices, right? So let's not get all crazy here, because you could really get into a Jason Kelsey kind of thing after the Super Bowl where it's like, this guy stinks, this guy's not good enough, this guy's too short. And you have to remember that, and James Franklin put it well, when you get in here in front of 60,000 people, the guys who did really well for 14 days may not have done well today. Conversely, the guys who maybe didn't do as well for 14 days get in here with that energy and emotion and do really well. So I think we have to be careful not to overanalyze what we saw from one practice when there were 14 that came before it. But I mean, ultimately, look, no one got hurt that we saw. It was a really nice weather day, and they had a bunch of recruits here. I mean, you check those three boxes, and I think you have to be happy with the way things went. Even if, look, yeah, Nate, you just said I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit, but I mean, nobody was super impressive today. I didn't think, for the most part. There were a couple of guys, but by and large, I mean, it was a spring event, and that's what we got. And Penn State now is it has spring practice in the books.
Yeah, but Dominic DeLuca dominated the day. That was one thing he called coming into this weekend. If you watch the BWI Daily Edition, was it 2 interceptions and about 1,400 tackles today?
2 interceptions, 1,400 tackles, and a sack. And a sack counts when you do this to the quarterback. So, look, like, what are we doing here? James Franklin said it. Greg just said it. This was not a blue-white game. This was a blue-white weekend and a blue-white event today. And so, look, like Trey Wallace made a nice catch. I didn't think right here behind us. I didn't think any of the quarterbacks really did anything special. But like, what are you going to do? I mean, as soon as they break it into 7-on-7, and we talk about this on the camp circuit all the time in the summer. When Penn State hosts a 7-on-7 recruiting event, it's not football. Like, it's not the same game. It's not remotely close. And so, yeah, I mean, you could take a couple of things away, I guess. But more than anything, I'm going to rely on you, T. Frank, to do the Rosetta Stone of like what I actually saw, because what I saw was probably not the same thing that you saw.
I was just going to say, and I'm going to have a full video breakdown later in the week. So, we got it covered on both sides. But truthfully, that is a lot of what today is just seeing guys in their uniform. The main thing for me that I was interested in is seeing Manny Diaz's defense at Penn State, because you can see everything at Miami, you can watch tons of film, and you don't really know until you see the players that he currently has and what he's going to do. And I was a little bit surprised. It's full Manny Diaz. There was some stuff out here that I was not expecting to see, of like sending 10 and 11 players at the quarterback. So some of the things that I was interested in was just kind of seeing what everything looks like. And I think for Penn State fans, that's a big cue for the future. What are some of the other things that you were thinking of and that you're looking at with James Franklin speaking to the media after the blue-white scrimmage, I guess we're going to call it, about what's coming up next and the questions he wants to have answered before the season starts or during camp or sometime over the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts on the offensive line, right, guys? I mean, they had a blue-white event, not a blue-white game, because they didn't have enough offensive linemen. They only had, I think, like 8 healthy for this event. So, I mean, that's the first thing. Okay, get healthy there, and what is Hunter Norzad doing, or any of the freshmen that you have coming in capable of contributing this year? I doubt it, but we'll see. I was really interested to see Landon Tangwall play left tackle, right tackle, and I think both guard spots. He's going to be really good and really versatile for this team. But, yeah, and I guess we should know Bryce Effner was here. He was not participating, but he was in uniform, so that answers a question that's been lingering for a while. But yeah, to me, that's the big one at this point. I mean, I know you can go any number of directions, but to me, that's one that stands out.
And I know you have a very interesting stat about Joey Porter Jr. from today, and he's bringing the heat with the punter conversation. We saved the best for last.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, the stats don't matter. So anybody who says that they have stats from this game is lying, at least until tomorrow when maybe you collect the stats. I'm not
going to do that not for the scrimmage.
Joey Porter was credited with completing 1 of 7 passes, and We know that didn't happen. No, you know, like you said about punting, I think that James Franklin brought up the fact that, you know, look, like I've been talking about it all spring, and it doesn't seem like a big deal, but just understanding how critical Jordan Stout was to what they do, they, like, you know, again, it sounds like I'm going overboard. They love field position.
Yeah.
They love these little hidden yards that happen in the course of a football game, and Jordan Stout brings that to you. A 60-yard punt, a 55-yard punt, when you pin somebody to their 1 yard line, like that's the end of the drive. And so now you've got Gabe Nwosu and Barney Moore who are kind of competing for this, and then Alex Paqueta, who's going to come in for Penn State this offseason. He's part of the class of 2022. So, no, I mean, I was able to talk to Barney Moore after the game, and, you know, he was, one, a very nice kid.
That's always nice, right?
Yeah, very nice kid. But two, like, this was always the plan. He knew that coming to Penn State that he was entering a room that had Jordan Stout in it. Jordan Stout would be the guy last year, but this was kind of his year if he was going to make an impact at Penn State. So we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously there's a lot of time between now and then, but, you know, it's going to be a punting competition as James kind of laid out.
Yeah, and the special teams is also a very important thing, as Nate pointed out. Punters consider themselves part of the defense because of what they can do for that unit. And one of the things James Franklin said again today that I thought was interesting was that this is one of the classes that has the most players that can contribute year one for a lot of different reasons, from talent to early enrolling and guys getting involved, maybe that aren't even here via Zoom and some other ways that they can now do with technology. So it's going to be a very interesting summer. It's going to be a very interesting fall, and we will have that all chronicled here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and you hit the notification button so you don't miss our live show coming up where we talk about this more in depth tomorrow on the BWI YouTube channel. We're going live at 8 p.m. on Sunday. And as always, if you want to get their stuff over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com, sign up for just $1, 12 months of access to insider information about what recruits were here, maybe even more important than what we're talking about right now, and what the future there might be. Greg does a great job recruiting, coverage, and of course, Ryan Snyder, our recruiting insider. For these two guys, I'm Thomas Frank Carr. We'll talk to you next time.